Between 1938 and 39, Czechoslovakia was progressively occupied and dismembered by Nazi Germany. During World War II, the Czechoslovak armaments industry, dominated by firms like Skoda, made weapons for the Germans. Many Czechoslovak weapons and vehicles were pressed into German service. Examples from the world of small arms include pistols such as the CZ27. This example here is a German-produced example known as the P27. Czechoslovak tanks were also utilized by the Wehrmacht, and later, after they became outdated, the chassis were repackaged and reused in new German armored vehicles such as the Jagdpanzer 38T or Hetzer. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Play more than 2,000 tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships in dynamic combined arms PvP battles. As an historian, I appreciate that the vehicles in War Thunder span over 100 years of development, from the 1920s to the present day. Every vehicle is incredibly detailed and modeled, offering a highly immersive combat experience. War Thunder has incredible graphics and detail in 4K resolution to create the immersion you need. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. You receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters, and much more. While a small part of the Slovak army was allowed to continue to exist under German occupation, the Czech army was dismembered, with many of its members escaping to England and the Soviet Union to continue the fight against the Germans. This meant that at war's end, the new Czechoslovak army received an infusion of men and material from two main sources. Firstly, British equipment such as Cromwell tanks and US M5 Stuarts from the 1st Czechoslovak Independent Armoured Brigade Group that had served with Field Marshal Montgomery's British 21st Army Group in northwest Europe. And Soviet T-34s, Su-85s and T-70s from the 1st Czechoslovak Army Corps that had fought alongside the Red Army on the Eastern Front. Added to this were many examples of captured German weapons found in Czechoslovakia or supplied to the Czechs by the Soviets. This unsatisfactory arrangement would see T-34s serving alongside Panzer IVs and Panther tanks in the Czechoslovak army. At war's end, the Red Army, which occupied Czechoslovakia, passed to the Czechoslovaks 165 Panzer IV tanks that they had captured. Between 1946 and 1947, the Czechoslovaks also salvaged 102 more Panzer IVs off battlefields across their nation for repair. By late 1949, the Czechoslovak army had 82 reconstituted Panzer IVs in frontline service, designated the T-40/75. By the mid-1950s, these worn-out tanks were replaced by Czechoslovak-constructed T-34-85s. 55 Panzer IVs were sold to Syria in 1955, and many of the remaining tanks in Czechoslovakia expended as gunnery targets. Ironically, the Syrians used the Czechoslovak Panzer IVs and Stugs and several other types of German vehicle that they purchased against the Israelis, and the wrecks of these World War II German vehicles still litter the Golan Heights today. See my video about this fascinating historical footnote, link in the end screen. Some Panzer IVs would linger on as training tanks in Czechoslovak service until the early 1970s. With regard to Panther tanks, the Czechoslovaks had about 50 vehicles inherited from the Red Army, taken from a captured vehicle depot in Czechoslovakia. A huge effort was also made in 1947 to salvage and repair German Panthers found all over the country. 80 Panthers were gathered up and 65 refitted. The Czechoslovaks found the Panther difficult to repair and refit, but by 1952 some 32 were returned to service. However, production of the Soviet T-34-85 was ongoing, and it was decided to re-equip the army with home-built T-34s, which were more reliable and easier to maintain. The Panthers were placed into storage, and from 1955 many were converted into tank recovery vehicles or turretless heavy tractors. Some also ended their days as range targets. By 1960, the Panther was gone from Czechoslovak service. The Czechoslovak Air Force also utilized World War II-era German aircraft in the immediate post-war period. During World War II, the Germans had of course taken over the Czech aircraft industry, including Avia, its most famous company, to produce aircraft and aircraft parts. Avia was a subcontractor making parts for the revolutionary Messerschmitt 262 jet fighter. The Soviets captured the Avia plant intact, and after the war, the Czechoslovaks decided to produce Me-262s for its air force under the name Avia S-92, including cloning and manufacturing Junkers Umo 004 turbojet engines. The S-92 first flew on the 27th of September 1946 and entered Czechoslovak Air Force service as daylight defensive fighters, the aircraft lacking radar. In total, Czechoslovakia hand-built 9 single-seat and 3 two-seater S-92s. The single-seaters were replaced by Soviet MiG-15s in 1950 and the trainers replaced a year later. Avia also produced a clone of the Messerschmitt Bf 109G, but instead of having an excellent Daimler-Benz 605 engine, it was saddled with the Junkers Umo 211F from the Heinkel 111 bomber, making a previously excellent fighter not very good. 603 of these fighters were built from 1947 onwards, and they served with the Czechoslovak Air Force until 1957. Interestingly, 23 ended up in Israeli Air Force service and saw combat against the Royal Egyptian Air Force in 1948, including dogfighting Spitfires. From 1955, the Czechoslovak Air Force was progressively re-equipped with Soviet aircraft, following its joining the Warsaw Pact. Czechoslovakia was one of the world's biggest post-war suppliers of German Mauser Kar-98K rifles. The Brno arsenal reconditioned thousands of captured World War II-era 98Ks for resale from 1946 onwards, and briefly manufactured the 98K, having obtained a full set of blueprints and production tooling. The income from the sale of tanks, aircraft, and most importantly, small arms and ammunition helped the Czechoslovak economy enormously in the immediate post-war period. In January 1948, Czechoslovakia supplied Jewish groups with 4,800 98Ks, 200 ex-German MG-34s, and 50.4 million rounds of German-era ammunition. These weapons were smuggled into what was then British Palestine, where they were used by Jewish troops. By October 1948, Czechoslovakia had secretly sold over 34,000 German 98Ks to the Israelis. In a previous video, we saw how the German Sturmgewehr or STG-44 assault rifle was used by the Czechoslovak army from 1946 to 1955. After phasing the type out, ex-Czechoslovak STG-44s were passed to East Germany and North Vietnam, and also to freedom fighters in Algeria, along with millions of rounds of repackaged World War II German Kurz rounds. Check out my video, see the link in the end screen. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. Remember, you receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters and much more. War Thunder, get it now! Many thanks for watching, please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon, details in the description box below.